Here we are for part 3, writing polynomial functions given some zeros. So in this first one, it says write a polynomial function that has real coefficients, the given zeros, and a leading coefficient of 1. Leading coefficient of 1, that's just saying, hey, don't think too hard, to be quite honest. It does say write a polynomial function, so first of all, make sure your answer down here is going to have a y equals in front. Okay. With that said, it says it has a 0 at 7, which means it has to have a factor at x minus 7. At negative 2, that means it has a factor at x plus 2. And at 1, x minus 1. So that's the first step. Take the zeros, make them into factors. Next up, it says to put it in standard form. And this is the beast of the problem right here. That means you actually have to FOIL these out in order to get your answer. So here we go. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. And negative 7 times 2 is negative 14, which becomes x squared minus 5x minus 14. And then that x minus 1 can come down. So that's foiling the first part. You then have to FOIL it again, this one to that one. And it's just x squared times both, negative 5x times both, and negative 14 times both. So I recommend pausing, seeing if you can get it, and then coming back and seeing. X times x squared is x to the third minus x squared minus 5x times x is minus 5x squared plus 5x minus 14x plus 14. So that's what you get when you superfoil, in which case we have an x to the third. Here, negative x squared minus 5x squared is a total of negative 6x squareds. 5x minus 14x is negative 9x, and then plus 14. So that is standard form right there. So number 13, I suppose, is next. Write a polynomial function, very similar, starting out with negative 1. If it's negative 1, what's the factor going to be? X plus 1. Last video, we talked about the whole thing with I and any square roots. It says 5i, but you have to know that is a plus or minus 5i, which means you are going to have an x minus 5i and an x plus 5i. Even though it doesn't write it, it's there, and you have to do it. And the best way to do this problem is to do it first. You usually multiply left to right, but you don't have to. Foiling this first is going to make life a whole lot easier. So let's do that. X times x is x squared. X times 5i is 5ix. Negative 5i times x is negative 5ix. And the negative 5i times positive 5i. Negative times positive is negative. 5 times 5 is 25. I times I is I squared. So that's the foiling. From there, 5ix minus 5ix, those just cancel. And then there's this trick. Anytime you have an I squared, you can cross it out and make this a plus. Pretty sure we talked about that in a different unit. But anytime you have an I squared, it's negative 1, so you can cross it out and change the sign in front. Meaning you only have these two things, x squared plus 25. You would then FOIL these things, and whatever we get, we're going to put a y equals in front. Otherwise, you lose a half point. So x times x squared is x to the third plus 25x plus x squared plus 25. And just reorder it. X to the third is first, then x squared, then a regular x, and then 25. Okay. I think it's just one more to go with this type of question. So let's take a look at it. This one, awesome. Same old question, except this time you give a fraction and a root. So once again, with the root, it is a plus or minus square root of 2. So we will have an x plus root 2 and an x minus root 2. Get that out of the way. But then with 3 halves, please do not write x minus 3 halves. That's not what we want. What we want instead is to take this and make this 2 in front of the x. So 2x minus 3. That's going to be the factor you want. You don't want fractions. The number on bottom goes in front. Right? So you keep the 3. If that's a way easier to think about, you use the top number, x minus 3. But then the bottom number is what's screwing it up, and that's the number that goes in front of the x. So 2x minus 3 is the parenthesis. Or you could think about it like that and just move it in front. But same old thing, I strongly recommend, because I doubt you'll get it right if you don't, multiplying those ones first. Because it's guaranteed to get rid of these radicals, because they're difficult to deal with. So x times x is x squared. X times negative root 2 is negative x root 2. Root 2 times x is a positive x root 2. And then a root 2 times a root 2 is a regular 2. Root 2 times root 2 is a regular 2. And positive and negative makes it a negative. So it's just a negative 2. Those cancel. X squared minus 2. FOIL one last time will be done. I recommend pausing and trying, but I can't force you because I'm not physically next to you. X squared times 2x is 2x to the third. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. Negative 3 times x squared. Negative 3 times negative 2. Just reorder them so it's the biggest exponent order. So 3, 2, 1, 0. So 2x to the third minus 3x squared minus 4x plus 6. And I can hear some of you asking right now, Mr. Anderson, do I have to rewrite them? And the answer is yes. It does say in standard form, and in standard form, it does have to decrease degrees. So you do have to reorder it to 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, and I think we're going to leave it off there for this video. So take one last look if you need to. And I'll see you in a minute if you feel like listening to me more.